Good evening. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Inspiration webinar. Inspiration Software is the embroidery software line of G7 Solutions and Designs and Machine Embroidery. Our Inspiration line includes My Block Piecer, My Quilt Embellisher, Perfect Embroidery Pro, and Perfect Stitch Viewer. Tonight's webinar features our Embroidery Designs and Quilts equal perfect inspiration using My Quilt Embellisher. We have a wonderful team assisting us tonight. Dory, technical support, Nancy R., and we also have Catherine Artinas in the cockpit with us. And I would like to present you to our longtime family member, Tamara Evans. Tamara is an educator for inspiration and loves to play with My Quilt Embellisher. So with no further ado, keep us in quilts, Tamara.
Thank you, Dory. I appreciate that, and I do love to play with My Quilt Embellisher and My Block Piecer. Tonight we're going to focus on My Quilt Embellisher, and I need to take over the screen in just a second so I can show you what I'm going to do. Oh, and there we go. Thank you. Bring up My Quilt Embellisher. And Dory, can everybody see my screen?
Everybody can see your screen.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do tonight, we're going to talk about pulling in designs and using the embellishment designs of My Quilt Embellisher, and all about, there's a phrase called gilding the lily, using our designs, your designs, any designs that you've collected to quilt with using My Quilt Embellisher. So I brought up on the screen right now a simple block. This block is a diamond and a square, and it is perfect for highlighting designs that you may have. If you get a design set that you just love and want to pull in those designs, you can absolutely do that in My Quilt Embellisher. So let's go into our design library, and I think I will pull in Butterfly Majesty. I love these designs. They're so pretty, and there's a combination of realistic butterflies and ones that are more fanciful. So we'll pick one. How about this one? This one's my favorite, or one of my favorites. And we can pull it into the center of the screen. So I can bring in a design from anywhere. Any design that I own in my software, whether it came free with the software, I own it from some other company in any format, we can bring it into the software and resize it. So I'm going to make this fit this square on point, or diamond in a square, and we might even make this one a little bit longer just to fill the space nicely. And there you go. It's a beautiful design, and I'm looking at it right now in 3D view. We could also turn off the 3D view over here on the left-hand side, and you would just see the stitch view of it. But we'll keep it in 3D view for right now. If I wanted to do something with around this design with the blue patches that are available here, I could click on them with my control key, or going over to the bottom right-hand corner, click on my sequence view, and just click on that color, which selects all of them. If you can see that there are angle lines going through there, they're all selected. And I could make those patches into anything I want. I could change them to a texture stitch, any of these stitches. Pick one, change the size of it if I want to, make it stipple, make it one of the advanced stipple designs that are unique to My Quilt Embellisher. let's see, there's 294 of these, and I still haven't used all of them. Even virtually, I haven't used all of them. Ooh, I've never used that one. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's interesting. And of course, you can change the pattern length, the size of the pattern. So this is 10 millimeters. I could make it 50% larger by making it 15 millimeters, which is nice, and that looks kind of cool. I could also do a contour or a shape echo, which is one of my favorites, actually. Let's select the diamond on point. Now, that makes each one of these a diamond on point. I can select one of them, click on the shape tool over here on the right or left-hand side, right there, and I can move the center of that down here to the middle of the butterfly. And it would do that. But I'm going to click undo because I would like it to radiate out, that shape to be radiated out and combined from the center of here. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to select all 4 of those patches again, and this time if I combine them so it looks at all of them as one object, then when I click on my shape tool, you'll see this pink dot, which is the center, is in the middle of the butterfly on all 4 of them. I can change the density, which is the distance between those rows of stitches, from 5 millimeters to 10 millimeters. And there you go. So it would have the butterfly in the center of that diamond in a square, and then the patches around it would all have lines through them that would kind of point back into that butterfly. If we change that by selecting them to a circle, then you'll see it all radiates out from the center of that butterfly. And that's one way to bring in a design from the outside. Another way would be to change that just to plain stippling. Okay? And then take the butterfly. Let's, by right-clicking on it, create an outline. And we'll use the default measurement here. So now I have an artwork outline around this butterfly because maybe I want some stitching in this area. So how I would accomplish that would be to select the background, and you see the stitches are on there, or the stripes are on there, showing that I have selected it. That's right here. Then I'm going to hold my control key down, and over here in my sequence view, I am going to select the last thing I did, which is the outline. That's also artwork. And I'm going to come up here and combine those. And when I do that, it creates a hole or an outline around the butterfly. Now I could take and change this backdrop to something else. I could select it and change it to, let's do a shape echo. We'll do that same shape and click OK. We can change the density or the distance between those rows of stitches if we like. We'll make it 10. And there you go. So it shows the butterfly, but then in the background we have the stippling in the other patches. Now, one thing that you may not be aware of, if you come over here and click on the backdrop image, this is the image of the original block. So you can see the color behind it, So if you want to see what the block looks like with the stitches in it, then that gives you a pretty good idea. Now, one thing that I would do with this design if I'm going to stitch it out, and we're going to go through a bunch of these examples, so just bear with me. I want to make sure that my stitches land exactly where I want them to in these patches. Therefore, I'm going to come up here and select my placement marks. And I want them, I'm most concerned about the points of the center square or diamond on square on point. So I'm going to click the center of each of those lines of the block and click OK. Now the thing I love about this, let's get rid of that backdrop, and I'm also going to select, let's click over here, and I want to hide all of the colors. The first thing that's going to stitch are the placement marks. And those placement marks will be exactly where the points of that diamond in a square will be, taking into consideration that there will be seam allowances above this. This is actually where that point meets. Then you can rearrange this as you like. At this point, we'll show all. I would probably move it so that the butterfly stitches first, which is very easy to do. I can just select the butterfly and move it because I want that to stitch before the outline does. I can send it to the back, which means it's going to stitch first. And actually, I want my placement marks to stitch first, so I'll select them and send them to the back. And I probably would do this before I put my placement marks on. But now, if you look at a slow redraw, oh, my placement marks still aren't where they want to be. Let's select those again. Whoops. Select them. And send them to the back, which means they're going to stitch first. Now let's do a slow redraw. And when I do that, there's my placement marks, so I know exactly how to put my block down on my hoop. And then I'm stitching my butterfly because it's in the center of the block, and it will adjust the block if necessary and move on through to the outside edge. And there you go. I love the new stippling feature that with this stipple, it doesn't overlap the edge. It looks very nice. And now I've got a beautiful butterfly block. And you can do this with any design that you have. It doesn't have to be a design you got from us. It can be any design that you own. Now, let's open up a new page. And let's select another block from our library, and we'll do something fairly simple. I know when I first started quilting and trying to do quilting, free motion quilting, I gave up quilting by hand years ago, but free motion quilting, let's pick a simple basic block, and let's do nested triangles. Click OK, and of course you would bring it into the size that you want it to be. But here's another way to quilt your block. Select everything by doing a Control A or dragging a box around it. Select everything and convert all of those patches to a run stitch. Now, click here on the backdrop tool and you'll see the color behind it. Let's look at it in 3D so you can kind of see the run stitches here, okay? And each one of them go around each of these patches. One of the things that I learned to do early on when I was trying to do manual quilting with my machine was to take and select a patch and make it a curved line. So I'm going to add a point and pull that in. Add a point here. Wait a minute. There we go. Select that again. I'm going to right click, add a point, and pull that in. I can right click here, add a point, and pull that in. It may help to show your grid at this point so you can see exactly where you're pulling those points into so that they line up. And do the same thing because around each one of these patches you have a run stitch. So select this one, right click, add a point, and pull it in here. Right click, add a point, and click on the square, then pull it in 1/4 of an inch, or 1/2 an inch in this case, is the way my grid is set up. Right click, add a point, and pull it in 1/2 an inch. And you can keep going like that with all of those patches. Then, when you get ready to stitch it, you would simply click on your placement marks again and add them at the corners and the center and that corner and that one, and click OK. Now, if I get rid of my backdrop and collapse all of my, hide everything, the first thing that stitches out are the points where I need to line up my block. Here, 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 and here. And those are movable. So if I wanted to make sure that this one is going to click right, that I line it up exactly right there, I can do that. Then, as I go through my different stitches, you can see them. Okay, so that's another way to do it. Another option, let's bring up another block, and let's do 4 triangles. Another option is to use the embellishment designs. Now, within our embellishment design collections, we have lots of different options. We actually have 50 different themes for our embellishments, and each one of them has 4 different elements. Let's look at this one. Okay, so we have one that is designed to fit in a square, one that's designed to fit in a circle, one that is designed to fit in a rectangle or border, and another one that's designed to fit in a triangle. Let's select the triangle embellishment for this exercise, and I'm going to rotate it, because this could be a corner, but this is also great for a triangle in a block. And you can measure this and resize it just perfectly, or eyeball it and set up your design. And then I can repeat this. I can copy it and paste it. Use my rotate tool to rotate left twice to move it 90 degrees. Pull it down here. Select it again. Copy. Paste. Rotate. Oh, sorry. Come up here. Rotate it 90 degrees again. Because for triangles, make a square. And select it, rotate it twice for 90 degrees, and there you go. In 3D, that's kind of a cool effect. But if you don't want to do 4 different designs, we could actually take those, select 2 of them, delete them, and rotate each one of these 45 degrees, but in a different way. So it doesn't, oh, went too far. It doesn't matter if they're designed for a corner or a square. You can fill them in however you want to and align that. Make it a little bigger, or actually measure it and see exactly the size that you need. Take this one, do the same thing. Now you'll notice there's a little piece left here. That's the artwork outline, which is right here. And I'm just going to delete that for right now. We'll rotate this again. Move it to the center and make it bigger to fit the design. If we need to shrink it down a little, we can do that. Oops, that wasn't shrinking, that was moving. Or the easiest way to do that is to take the one that already fits kind of nicely and copy it, paste it, rotate it 180 degrees, and move it up here. And there you go. There's another way to do that. If, like with this one, it's not exactly perfect, you can skew that a little bit by just using the fine rotation tool when you select the object so that the points match up perfectly. And there you go. So, Dory, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, we do. We have a couple questions. One of them is, can you take any of the designs that you just used to place on the blocks that are not specifically designs, they're the embellishment designs, can you enlarge them? Can you change the size of the stitch? Can you echo them?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Let me open up a new page and show you how to do that. Let me go up to the embellishment designs, because there's some really cute designs in here that you don't necessarily have to put on a block. This owl is adorable. I can open that. And like all of our embellishment designs, it comes with an artwork outline. You'll see over here in the properties box, or in the sequence box, there's an artwork outline, and then there are run stitches. I'm going to select the artwork outline. I can use it, or I can delete it. Now, I have a really cute owl, and I could take this owl and ungroup it right here. And maybe I just want the owl without the stem. I can click on the various parts and click delete. While this isn't really a digitizing program, you do have certain editing features that make it very simple to use. And get rid of this stem over here. And now I've got this really cute owl. If I look at it in 3D, I see all of the stitches, and this is, looking up at the top, about a little over 2.5 inches large. If I want it, or the size of it is a little over 2.5 inches. If I want to make this design 5 inches, I can do that. I can come over to transform and change it, or I could drag, you know, one of the corners out to resize it, and it will recalculate the stitches for me. Now, if I wanted to really show off this owl, and it is all done, let's select it and say I want to change this to a bean stitch. And I want my stitch length to be, not 5. Let's make it 3.5 millimeters. And I want 5 repeats. I can change it and click apply. And let's take it off of 3D and look at it, and that looks fine. And now I have a bean stitch with that owl, and I can certainly resize that and copy it and rotate it and do all of those type of things with it. Did that answer your question?
It did. And last but not least, Trish wants to know, what kind of thread do you recommend?
Oh, you know, that's a loaded question. It depends on the quilt and what you're quilting it for and what you're doing. I like all kinds of threads. If it's a baby quilt, I tend to use polyester because it can be washed and washed and washed, and it doesn't lose its color. And good polyester thread has, you know, a good sheen like rayon does. I like rayon thread. It's a natural fiber. I love cotton for the matte finish. If I want, for example, let's open up a new page and bring up a quilt block and let's just do a square. Okay, I have a square here. Now, I want to bring in a design like this owl. I'm going to select it because I really want the owl to be the highlight. I'm going to copy it, come over, and paste it in the square. And align center. Oh, let me select both of them. And whoop, undo. First thing we need to do is select the owl and group him. See, aren't you glad you aren't the only ones who do that? Group it, select the background with the owl, and then put him in the center of the block. Okay, so now I have this really cute owl, and I want the owl to stand out in this block. So I'm going to select the owl, right-click, and create an outline. I'll just use the default. And I want to stipple around it to really make the owl pop. I'm going to select, if you look over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to select the artwork that surrounds the owl and the artwork that is the backdrop by holding, by holding my control key down and combine them. Now, I have the outline acted like a cookie cutter around the owl. I will take the backdrop around it and convert it to, let's do it to stippling. And in this case, I really want that owl to pop. So I'm going to change the stippling to Hilbert and make the stitch length 2 millimeters and the density 2 millimeters and apply it. So what I have now is micro stippling around the owl. I really want it to stand out. The micro stippling, in this case, I would probably use a 60 weight thread so that, and blend it to the fabric that is the background of the block. And with the owl, I would use a 40 weight thread, you know, whether it be cotton or rayon or polyester or whatever. I want that to stand out. But if I'm doing micro stippling, it compacts that quilt sandwich and makes the rest, or the design that's in the center of it, really stand out. And if it's a quilting design like this one, you almost get a trapunto effect with it. If it was a design like the butterfly that's very filled, it would make the butterfly stand out as well. But this will give it the puffiness that we look for with micro stippling around a design.
Ah, very good. Okay. One last question. Donna wants to know, how do you merge two designs, or do you not merge two designs? There is a merge.
You mean into the same quilt block?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we can do that. Let me open up another page. And let's select a simple design like, okay, here, 2 triangles. And we'll pick 2 different designs to put on here. I can do, if I'm doing the embellishments, it's very easy. I can just click on that, select one of the designs. Let's see, like the paisley, and bring it in and resize it to fit on this half of the square. If I, and let's look at that in 3D, if I want to bring something else in, if I'm doing it from my library, it's very simple. All I have to do, I'm going to go to my quilt motifs. Hang on. I have so much in my library. Let's do well, let's just bring in one of our dime-free designs. If you bring it in from the library, this is the design, one of the designs that's coming out in April. It's quite lovely. Let's change the color so you can see it a little bit better. I can just drag it in. If I am bringing it in not from my library, then I would go to File, Merge, and then go out there on my desktop or my computer and find the designs that I'm looking for and select it. and merge it in. So that would be the difference between the drag and drop and the merge. If you are pulling them from somewhere else, it needs to be a merge. If you are pulling them from the library or the embellishment designs or even the border designs that we have built in or the decor designs, then you can just select one and it will merge it in automatically. Oops, let's do at an angle there. And there you go. Okay.
We have one more question.
All right.
When you're ready, let me know.
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Gay asks, when I try to change a color by selecting it at the bottom like you just did, the color doesn't change. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, Gay, that is such a common problem. And I forget to do it myself. If you select the object and you come down to your color selections at the bottom, then you need to right-click on the color to change it. If you left-click, then you're selecting a new color. It takes you to the color selection tool. If you right-click, you are picking up that color. It's like scooping it up with your right hand. Okay? So in this case, if I want to change that to yellow, I right-click on it, and it changes it.
Super.
If I want, okay, easy enough.
It is.
Yes, it is. Some other things that we can do. If you have other designs, let's open up a new page, and let's select another quilt block, and let's get a little more elaborate. I like this one, Broken Path. Okay, so here's my block, and it's artwork on top of my screen, which I can always convert to stitches. But I also can select my backdrop here, and if I look at my sequence view and right-click to hide everything, you see it underneath my grid. So it maintains those same colors, so I can get a feel for my block when I actually change these to different objects. So let's take and show all of the pieces. And I want to pull in a design, and I'm going to do it from my library. And I want to pull in one of my quilting designs that I have collected, quilt motifs. Let's go to, I want to do something for the big square. I'm going to scroll down through here, and these are designs that, were not created in the software, just ones I've collected over the years. And let's pick, I think I like that one better. And I'm going to drag that in and rotate it and center it in my block. And actually that fits pretty nicely. So I can enlarge it to fit in that part of my block. Just like that. Now, it's important when we are designing for our blocks that we work in the size, the finished size of our quilt block. You notice there's no seam allowances in this block. It is all the finished size because that's where we're going to be quilting. We're not going to be quilting in the seam allowances. Let's look at it in 3D, and that looks pretty nice for that. But what I want to do around the rest of this even though I have multiple colors, I'm going to click and then hold my control key down and select all of these triangles that go around it, even though they're in different fabrics. Then combine them. Now they're all one color here, and convert those into, I could do stippling, I could do echo quilting. No, I can't do echo quilting. I could do, oh, let's do this. That looks fun. And I'd want to change the density on that one. And you get a good idea of what your block would look like. I kind of like that, where the broken lines are right there, but I can audition my designs until I am comfortable with whatever designs I choose. So you can do the virtual quilting thing ad nauseum until you get something that you really like, and change the size of it. And there you go. If I want to change that color to a different color, make it stand out more. It depends on what you're doing with your quilt, if you want the color to blend or stand out. In this case, if I want to change that to, let's do a blue color to kind of match that outline, we can do that. It's very simple, and we get rid of the backdrop artwork. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so there you go with your design.
Now, does the block need to be tacked down before embellishing?
Does it need to be what?
Tacked down.
Oh, well, you know, here's the thing that I think you need to look at is the sequence in which it stitches out. And when you're doing something like this, I would recommend that you review. Now here, this is just artwork, and I could actually delete that. Let's look at it's complex fill, sorry. This is artwork. I could delete that. Delete. No, it's not letting me. So that I don't see it. But what I would do is make sure when I do a slow redraw, here you go, and it's doing all of the outside first. I don't recommend that. I like to work from the inside out. So I would select the design that's in the center and click up here to move to back, which means it will stitch first. Now, when we do our slow redraw, you will see that the design in the center stitches first, and then the backdrop. Now, if I was actually doing this on this block, what I would do, again, is select my placement marks and select the 4 points of that blue diamond in the square, and I'm going to select all of them in this case. Click OK, and here they are. Whoop. Oh, they did the same color as the, let's change this color to a different color because I have the same color as the placement marks. Let's hide everything and turn off the backdrop. Now, here are my placement marks. If I have the backdrop on, Then I'm going to move these so that I can make sure everything is placed precisely, because I've measured my block and I know how big the square in the center is, and move these so that they match up with that. And that the points you see here match up with the points of my triangle, okay, or the square on point. And then we'll see that the design goes in the center of that. And I would stitch those first on a stabilizer or on hooped batting with the backing. Actually, I do the batting without the backing. And then place my block over the top to match up with them. And then stitch the rest of my design. And because I've matched that up with the placement marks, I don't have to pull them out. They are in the background. They are on the stabilizer or batting, and I'm not even going to see them. How does that work for you?
That is great. Now I have now can you use these for a long arm quilter? I mean, you've got me jazzed up.
Yes, you actually can. And we can save these. What I would do is, at this point, I would come over here to File and click Save As. And when I do that, I would assign, the file name for it and where I want it to be saved, which would be somewhere, maybe on a stick or however I get it to my long arm quilter. And down here are my long arm quilting formats. So then I can open those up in the robot of my long arm quilter, and they would stitch these run stitch designs. Now, if I am doing a, let's go back to our original design, the butterfly, I can't stitch that with my long arm quilter. But it may be a design that I've stitched on the quilt, and I can certainly stitch the stippling and the other design around it. If I am wanting to print out a template for this, all I have to do is select my print preview, and then on my settings, select actual size. If I want crosshairs, if I want color analysis, artwork, I absolutely would want stitches. You can print it in 3D or not, and click OK. And there you go. I've got my design, and I can print that on paper or on print and stick target paper, which is sticky, which I love to use when I'm doing quilting because I can stick it directly to the piecing, and I know how to frame it and can stick it and make sure that it's within that block. For example, let me close out of that. Let's open a new page. I actually have a quilt that I've been working on in my library. And how I print those out, I go to, here we go. Here's my quilt. Let me get rid of the grid so you can see it a little bit better. What I've done is I ungroup this, and I've taken each one of these designs which matches where fabric goes and print them out. Just a minute. Close. I don't want to print the whole thing. I'm going to take that, copy it, paste it to a new page, And I have multiple of these in that particular quilt, and I print out a template for them. And I know exactly where the center of that design is. I know what is the top of the design, and I trim that close around it, so I still have that little arrow knowing where the top of the design is, and stick it to my quilt. Then when it's hooped and I'm ready to stitch it, all I need to do is see if I need to rotate the design, because if this is going here or if it's down here or wherever it is, and rotate, and then move my pantograph or move the hoop so that this crosshair is under my needle. Then I remove the template and can stitch the design, and it will come out just perfect.
Does
that
awesome.
Work for you, Dory?
It does.
Good.
And you answered a second question that Trish asked, if you could do larger designs than just a 5x7. Absolutely. You can break it up.
Oh, absolutely. What I do, what I like to do is, let's go back here. This is I can tell you, it's a 48 by 48 inch quilt. This is actually a wall hanging, and each one of these sections are different designs, which I would save. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. Well, I got to break that one up, ungroup it. But I have these all saved as individual designs, and I print out the templates for those. So when I go to stitch it, I just have to put that template on that area, and then I know exactly where it's going to stitch for that design. For that section. And this is actually 2 pieces of the quilt. I don't think I have, no, I don't have the backdrop in that one. Let's see if I do in open up. One of these I have the fabric in the background. Nope, not that one either. Well, one of them I do, but what I've done is save those individual designs, because I can't, of course, stitch the whole quilt out in one. I don't have that big of hoop just yet. I'm thinking it's coming, but it allows me to have those templates and position them exactly where I need them to be.
Excellent. That is awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so let's do one more thing. I want to show you one more trick with the software in the little bit of time we have left. Let's go into an embellishment design, and let me select, oh, this is one of my favorites, Elegant number 4, which is actually elephant, not elegant. Aren't they cute? They're just adorable. I love this design, and I want to click on my sequence view, select the outline and get rid of it. Now, here are my elephants. I'm going to put them in 3D, and because I have in my software, in Tools, General Options, I have selected under View to increase double and bean run thickness in 3D view. I think this is really important when you're quilting, because I want to know where there's a double run, where there's a single run. I want to know what's going to show up thicker than, regular run stitches. So Now, I look at this and I see around the middle, that looks a little thicker. Up here it does. I'm going to select this whole design. And over here in type, I'm going to change my length to 3.0 and change my type to 2-ply. Because I want it to go over it twice. I want these elephants to really stand out, and click apply. Now, that doesn't look so good. If I take it off a 3D view, you see I've got these jump stitches running around. But here's the magic. I'm going to select this, and let's go back to 3D view. And when I click Combine, it resorts the paths for me and makes it look pretty. And there you go.
Oh, awesome.
Isn't that awesome? And I can do that with other designs. If, you know, the digitizing wasn't exactly what I wanted, or if I wanted this, let's say, to be a bean stitch with 5 repeats, and let's make the stitch length 3.5. I can click apply, and it will do that for me. But if you ever see all of those jump stitches, which I have in here, now you notice when I made it 3.5, we lost the little open eyes. These are baby elephants. Their eyes aren't open yet. Then, you know, you can just click the Combine tool, and it will resort that for you. I could go back to a standard length, or just a standard single stitch on this, and click Apply. And it's one of the great features that we have in the software that allow us to do this and get rid of a bunch of those jump stitches. So there you go.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions before we go?
Nope, that'll be it. But I thank you very much. And I thank everybody out there.
Thank you, and thank everybody for joining us.
Yeah. I hope they enjoy their quilting.
I do too, and thank you for joining us. And look for an event near you, because we've got a new quilting event coming out. And in addition to our hooping clinics and other events, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for joining us, and good night.
Good night.